Class, today you will be meeting with the nurse to check for lice.
We can't get no lice, sir.
Picture this. It's 1963 in the Deep South. Sam Cooke's Another Saturday Night floats through a static-filled kitchen radio as steam curls from a boiling pot on the stove. A black mother leans over the enamel kitchen sink, water running warm over her scalp. Her hands work shampoo deep into her thick coils, while her hot comb heats on the burner nearby. Soap suds mix with hair grease and drip down into the drain. Her pressed house dress is damp around the collar, and the scent of blue magic hangs thick in the air. Her daughter walks in from school, dropping her book bag by the table with a thud. "They checked us for lice today," she mumbles, grabbing a piece of cornbread from the counter. The mother freezes, hands still in her hair, and turns just enough to see her daughter's face. "Lice," she says with a scoff. "We don't get no lice, baby. That's them other folks' problem." That little phrase, "we don't get lice," has echoed in black homes for generations. It's been passed down like kitchen remedies and hot comb secrets. But is it fact, or is it a story wrapped in hair grease, social silence, and misdiagnosis? That's where things took a turn. Scope News launched a full investigation, and what we uncovered flips the myth upside down. The truth? Black people absolutely can get lice, but the reason so many didn't and still don't isn't magic. It's strategy. Because black folks didn't just stumble into low lice numbers, they outsmarted it. At a time when white families were spraying toxic DDT around the house and shaving kids' heads in panic, black communities were quietly protecting themselves through cultural ingenuity. Generations of black inventors, stylists, and homegrown entrepreneurs developed thick oil-based products not just to make hair manageable, but to seal it, shield it, and protect it. And that created a scalp environment where lice struggled to survive, let alone spread. Take Royal Crown Hair Dressing, launched in 1936 by the J. Strickland Company in Memphis, Tennessee, a brand deeply intertwined with Southern black beauty culture. Or Sulfur 8, which hit the market in 1948 and was widely used to treat dandruff and scalp irritation, but also made it physically harder for lice to crawl because of its density and medicinal odor. Both products were found in nearly every black household by the 1960s. Then there's Murray's Pomade, founded in 1925 by C.D. Murray, a black Chicago pharmacist. His heavy waxy formula was marketed as a grooming aid for both men and women, and it clung to hair like armor. A louse's claws aren't designed to grip strands slick with that much product. These weren't happy accidents. These were innovations born of necessity. In a world where most commercial beauty products ignored textured hair or outright damaged it, black people built their own. These products didn't just soften strands, they kept lice from moving freely. And over time, what started as protection became a myth. We just don't get lice. That's why the myth stuck, because in many ways it looked true. Now let's talk about how white children experience lice. For decades, white children were more likely to be sent home from school or daycare for lice, especially during the height of strict no-knit policies. And while that made it seem like lice were a white problem, experts have clarified that lice do not come from dirt or filth. In fact, they're attracted to clean hair that's easier to grip. They spread almost entirely through close head-to-head contact, especially among children playing together. Today, many pediatric groups say that children with lice don't need to be excluded midday or sent home at all. Some folks may differ on that opinion. It's still controversial. No one wants their kid to be the one scratching in the classroom. But the stigma runs deeper than the science. So what fueled the idea that white kids get lice more? It wasn't about hygiene. It was about exposure. Loose, free-flowing straight hair is easier for lice to crawl across. Add in more frequent brushing, sharing hats, or sleeping close at daycares, and lice outbreaks become more visible and more common. Meanwhile, in many black households, hair was often greased, styled up, braided, or pressed into place. That's not just fashion, that's distance. And for lice, distance is defeat. Still, reduced risk doesn't mean immunity. Black people can and do get lice. But infestations may go unnoticed longer, especially when doctors or school nurses still believe the myth that it doesn't happen. Even back in the 1940s through the 60s, the companies selling lice treatments like RID and Nix didn't bother marketing to black families. They focused on white households, white schools, and white mothers, leaving black families out of the picture entirely. Not because lice didn't exist, but because they weren't looking. And yet, black folks had already figured it out. From the kitchen sink to the church press and curl, from blue magic to a scarf tied just right, black hair care had its own logic, its own science, and its own success. That's why lice rarely made it past the front door. Not because of biology, because of wisdom. But when that system gets labeled a myth instead of a method, people stop checking. And that's when the real harm starts. Especially for children who end up suffering silently because no one believes it's even possible. So yes, black folks can get lice, but our big mamas and aunties knew what they were doing when they greased our scalps at night. See, that grease actually helped keep the lice away. Period. And even when the white media didn't bother to feature black folks in their ads or product campaigns, it only underscored the quiet brilliance and generational wisdom black communities carried all along. Scope News tells the truth. Here are the facts. Head lice spread through close contact, not through dirt, poverty, or hygiene. The CDC and American Academy of Pediatrics confirm lice often prefer clean hair because it's easier to grasp. Black children in the U.S. have historically experienced lower lice rates, likely due to the use of thick grease-based products, protective styles, and tighter coils that make it harder for lice to move. Brands like Murray's Pomade, 1925, Royal Crown, 1936, and Sulfur 8, 1948, weren't just for shine. They created an environment where lice couldn't thrive. Meanwhile, white children, more often exposed via free-hanging hair, shared items, and school proximity, experienced lice more frequently and were subjected to outdated school no-knit policies, even though modern guidelines discourage exclusion. The myth that black people are immune wasn't born from falsehood. It was born from protection. Legal disclaimer: this episode is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice or replace guidance from a licensed healthcare provider. Lice infestations can affect individuals of all backgrounds. Viewer discretion is advised. Scope News strives to present historically accurate material based on published data, oral tradition, and cultural memory, while acknowledging that some records may remain incomplete or underreported. Thank you so much for watching Scope News.